Hello everyone. Today in this video I will tell you seizure disorder in children. So learning objectives for today's lecture are how will you define the seizure disorder and epidemiology, etiology, types and febrile seizures. So all these I will cover today and the conditions which mimics the seizure, investigations and treatment of the epileptic seizures will be discussed in the next part. So in definition, there are various terminology used in the seizure disorder. So first one is convulsion. This is the sudden, involuntary, motor or sensory or autonomic disturbance which is associated with the alteration in sensorium. What is the difference between convulsion and seizure? Whenever a patient is having the convulsion with abnormal excessive electrical discharge in brain, we label as a seizure. Then what is epilepsy? When the patient is having more than two unprovoked seizure or recurrent unprovoked seizure, we label as epilepsy. I will tell you the details of unprovoked and provoked seizure in next slide. And what is status epilepticus? When the patient is having more than 30 minutes of continuous seizure or recurrent seizures without in between recovery of consciousness, we label as a status epilepticus. Now, provoked seizure. These are the seizures which occur during the course of acute illness, which affects the brain excitability. Example, hypoxia, toxins or trauma or hypoglycemia, hyperglycemia, electrolyte imbalance. Example, hyponatremia, hypocalcemia, fever, acute CNS infection. Example, pyomeningitis. All these are the acute conditions, or we can say acute symptomatic seizures occur during all these conditions. So these are the precipitating factors or acute illness which affect the brain excitability, and these seizures are labeled as a provoked seizure, and when the patient is treated for the precipitating factors or for the illness, these seizure will stop. Now what is unprovoked seizure? We can say this is not an acute symptomatic seizure. This can occur even in the normal brain. So whenever a patient is not having any history of any illness which is exciting the brain and causing the seizure, or we can say idiopathic, we label as a unprovoked seizure. Now what is remote symptomatic seizure? If the patient has the distant brain injury, as in old stroke. Example, if the 2-year-old child had the head injury at the age of 1 month or 2 months and now having the seizures due to the old infarct or old brain injury, we label as a remote symptomatic seizure. In this case, either we can say remote symptomatic seizure or we can say secondary epilepsy because of some lesion, some injury in the brain had occurred previously. If the patient is having the normal brain and the recurrent episode of the seizures, then we label as a primary epilepsy. Now what is reflex seizure? These are the seizures which are precipitated by the sensory stimulus. Example, visual stimuli, example, flickering lights, reading, all these are precipitating the seizures. Auditory stimuli, example, musics, all these can causes the seizures. Or somatosensory or proprioceptive stimuli, example, some painful stimuli causes the seizures. So we label as a reflex seizure. These seizures occur only after the stimuli, not isolated. So whenever a patient is exposed to the stimuli and then seizures occur, or sometimes the seizures are precipitated due to all these factors, we label them as a reflex seizure. Now what is epileptic syndrome? These are the specific seizure type with the specific age of onset, specific duration of active epilepsy, and the specific prognosis we label as the epileptic syndrome. Example, benign neonatal seizure, West syndrome, infantile spasm, all these types of seizure present during a specific age group and persist for the specific age duration and also having the specific prognosis. Now, what is epileptic encephalopathy? When the patient is having epilepsy syndrome with severe EEG abnormality, result in cognitive and other impairment. Example, early infantile epileptic encephalopathy. We label them as epileptic encephalopathy. So all these are the terminologies which use in the seizure disorder. Now the epidemiology in seizure disorder, around 4 to 10% of the children are affected, are having the seizure disorder. 50% of them are having the febrile seizure. Febrile seizure is the commonest type of seizure in children. Incidence of epilepsy is around 3% and annual prevalence of epilepsy is around 0.5 to 1% in children. 30% of the children who have the first afebrile seizure have the later epilepsy. This risk decreased to the 20% if the neurological examination, EEG and neuroimaging are normal. Now the etiology of the seizure disorder. This can be the acute CNS infection. Example, acquired bacterial meningitis, tubercular meningitis, aseptic meningitis, encephalitis, encephalopathy, cerebral malaria, tetanus, measles, mumps encephalopathy, Reye syndrome, intrauterine infection, example, torch group of infection. All these can lead to the seizure disorder in children. Post-vaccine encephalopathy, example, subacute sclerosing panencephalitis, which is seen after the measles vaccine. Post-whooping cough encephalopathy, chickenpox encephalopathy. Space-occupying lesion can lead to the seizure and generally they present as a focal or partial seizure. Example, brain tumor, brain abscess, tuberculoma, neurocysticercosis. All these can lead to the focal or partial seizure. Due to some drugs and poisons, toxic dose of salicylate, phenothiazine, dapsone, strychnine poisoning, carbon monoxide poisoning, all these can lead to the seizure. Some metabolic causes, example, dyselectrolytemia, as I said, hyponatremia, hypocalcemia, hypomagnesemia, all these can cause a seizure. Acidosis, alkalosis, hyperglycemia, some inborn error of metabolism, patient can have the seizure. In vascular causes, arteriovenous malformation, intracranial thrombosis, hemorrhage, migration defect can lead to the seizure. And in genetic causes, benign familial neonatal seizure, tuberous sclerosis, pyridoxine dependent epilepsy. In this picture, you can see the child is having the adenoma sebaceum over the face and this child is suffering from the tuberous sclerosis. This is the neurocutaneous syndrome. And in other causes, hypoxic ischemic encephalopathy stage 2 in newborn can lead to seizure, heat stroke, late hypertensive encephalopathy, breath holding spell, gray matter degeneration, storage disorder, acute brain swelling. All these are the other causes of seizure in a child. Now, according to etiology, you have to label the seizure disorder. We label genetic epilepsy when the patient is having the known or presumed genetic defect. Example, childhood absence epilepsy, Dravet syndrome. Structural epilepsy, whenever a patient is having the some structural brain disorder, example, old stroke, hypoxic ischemic injury, tuberous sclerosis. For tuberous sclerosis, genetic epilepsy terminology will also be used and structural epilepsy also because the tuberous sclerosis is the genetic defect also. Immune mediated epilepsy, when the patient is having the some immune mediated CNS inflammation, autoimmune encephalitis, example. Infectious epilepsy, whenever a patient is having some chronic infections, example, tuberculosis, HIV. In this case, we label the infectious epilepsy. So according to the etiology also, you have to label the diagnosis of seizure disorder. Whenever you find a child with the seizure disorder, first step in a seizure disorder is you have to identify the type of seizure. Because seizure does not constitute a diagnosis, it is a symptoms of an underlying disorder which may occur in both normal or abnormal brain tissue. When you know the type of seizure, you will be able to know the etiology. This will provide you the clue for the etiology. You can plan the investigations accordingly, and treatment also differs according to the type of seizure, and the prognosis also differ. So first step, keep in mind whenever you find that child is having the seizures, first step should be you should find out which type of seizure is occur. So this is a very important part of this lecture. So what are the various types or classification of the seizures? One is the focal or partial seizure, another is generalized seizure, and third one is unclassified seizure. So I will tell you the details of all these. In focal seizure, focal aware seizure or simple partial seizure. In this, consciousness retained. Patient will remain the conscious during the seizure time. Another is the focal seizures with impaired awareness or previously known as complex partial seizure. Consciousness will be impaired in this case. In this, either patient is having the simple partial seizure which is followed by impaired consciousness, or consciousness may be impaired at the onset. Third category is at the onset patient is having the focal seizure with later on secondary generalization. So all these are the three subtypes of focal or partial seizure. Now the second one is generalized seizure. In this, either generalized tonic-clonic seizure or generalized tonic seizure or generalized clonic seizure or myoclonic or atonic or absent seizure. All these are the 6 subtypes of the generalized seizure. When you find that seizure type is not fit into the any category, not into the focal partial or generalized seizure, we labeled as unclassified. If the clinical characteristic of the seizures are unusual and not fit into the any category, and determination of onset cannot be made despite an adequate workup or after taking the proper history, you are not able to label either focal or generalized, and the subtypes, then you have to label as unclassified seizure. Now I will tell you the details of individual subtype. Focal aware seizure or simple partial seizure. Nowadays we are saying focal aware seizure instead of SPS. These terminologies are little bit changed. In this, rarely aura present. In aura, patient is having the chest discomfort, headache or epigastric pain before the onset of seizure. So aura is always present before the seizure occur, which is a rare feature of the focal aware seizure, and patient remain conscious during the seizure. Patient even verbalize during the seizure, and seizure persists hardly for 10 to 20 seconds. Whenever you ask the history of the seizure, this is also the very important part. Aura is present or not, seizure persists for how many seconds or minute, and after the seizure, post-ictal phase was there or not. So in this, no post-ictal phenomena will be there. And in this picture, you can see the child is having the focal seizure of the face and the upper extremities, and child is conscious. Focal aware seizure can be motor, can be sensory, or it can be autonomic, or it can be emotional. In motor, patient may have the focal motor activity. Example, tonic-clonic movements of the one side of the face, neck or extremity, as you can see in this picture also. Patient is conscious and having the focal seizure of face and upper extremities. And these seizure can be sensory. Patient is having the somatosensory component, example paresthesia or pain sensation of the one part of the body, one side of the body will be there. And visual, patient is visualizing some abnormal thing, example scotoma is visible, or flashes of light is visible for a short period of time. It can be auditory also. Patient is hearing ringing or noisy sounds. It can be autonomic. Patient is having sweating or flushing for a duration of seizures. Or it can be emotional also. Patient is saying that he was feeling some funny or something is crawling inside me is type of the feeling for a short period of time. We label as the focal aware seizure. All these are the various form in which these seizure can present. Now the focal seizure with impaired awareness or complex partial seizure, in this aura will be there, and the presence of aura is almost always indicate a focal seizure with impaired awareness. This is a characteristic feature. This is really present in generalized seizure. So presence of aura characterize that patient is having the focal seizure. Seizure usually occur during the waking hours and impairment of the consciousness will be there. And automatism will be present in the complex partial seizure around in 50 to 75% cases. So aura and automatism, all these are the characteristic of complex partial seizure. I will tell you the details of both in next slide. In this seizure persists for 1 to 2 minutes. So you have to remember the duration also. Simple partial seizure hardly persists beyond 20 seconds, while the complex partial seizure persists for 1 to 2 minutes. And in this post-ictal phase, in the form of sleep, headache or hemiparesis will be present. After the seizure subside, patient will go into the post-ictal phase. Now what is aura? This is most common aura which is experienced by the children, consists of epigastric discomfort or pain or feeling of fear will be there. Other types of aura are either visual sensations. Patient will say that before the seizure occur, patient is visualizing the some flashing light or seeing the color. Somatosensory tingling sensation was there. Olfactory, auditory or vestibular form. Now what is automatism? This is seen in the 50 to 75% of the cases, and it develops after the loss of consciousness, and it persists even into the post-ictal phase. It is not recalled by the child because it developed after the loss of consciousness. While patient is able to recall the aura, but patient is not able to recall the automatism. In infant, this is characteristically present as a lip smacking, swallowing, chewing, excessive salivation, all these will be there. And in children, it is characterized by the semi-purposeful, incoordinated, unplanned gestural automatism, including the picking and pulling at the cloth, bed sheet, rubbing the object, walking in non-directed fashion. So all these are the characteristic of automatism. Now the generalized tonic-clonic seizure. This is the commonest type of seizure which is seen in the children. It begins suddenly, without warning, without aura. And in this, patient will have the tonic contraction of trunk, which is associated with the rhythmic clonic contraction, alternate with the relaxation of all muscle group, and loss of consciousness will be there. It is also associated with the increase in heart rate and the BP. So patient will have the tachycardia and raised BP at the time of seizure. Incontinence is also will be there, and seizure lasts for few minutes. So in this picture you can see the child is having the GTCS type of seizure. Incontinence is there, frothing from the mouth is present, and associated with the either closure of eyes or uprolling of eyeball. And the post-ictal phase is common, which lasts for the 30 minutes to 2 hours. And this patient either will be drowsy or unconscious and disoriented. Now the generalized tonic seizure. In this, the tonic spasm of the truncal and facial muscle occur, and the flexion of upper extremities and extension of lower extremities. So in this picture you can see the child is having the spasm of the facial muscle and the contraction or we can say flexion of the upper extremities and extension of the lower extremities are there. And loss of consciousness will be there. Seizure lasts for few seconds to minute, and post-ictal phase is also present, which is lasted for 30 minutes to 2 hours. Now the generalized clonic seizure. In this, the rhythmic fast muscle contraction with slightly longer relaxation. This seizure type resembles the myoclonus, but compared to the myoclonus, these are the slower. So we can easily differentiate from the myoclonus. I will tell you the details of myoclonus seizure also. Loss of consciousness will be there, and the post-ictal phase is last for half to 2 hours. Now the absence seizure, this is a very special type of generalized seizure. In this there will be no aura. In this picture you can see the child is having the smiley look and playing with a ball, and suddenly child has stopped the activity, and you can see the expression of the face. Child is having the blank look. So in this characteristically sudden cessation of motor activity or speech will occur, and patient will have the blank facial expression, vacant look, flickering of eyelids can be there. So this is the characteristic of absence seizure, and these type of seizure generally present multiple times in a day. Mother will say that suddenly child stop the activity and doing these same things almost 20-30 times in a day or more than this. So this is common after 5 years of age. It is more common in girls. There will be no postictal phase, and this is rarely persists longer than 30 seconds. So hardly for 30 seconds patient will stop the activity having the vacant look and multiple times in a day. This is the characteristic history you will find in the absence seizure. And in absence seizure, hyperventilation induce an absence seizure. So in OPD, if you find that the history is characteristic of absence seizure, tell the patient to do the hyperventilation. That means taking the breath in and out repeatedly, fast, and absence seizure will occur in front of you. And in this characteristic, 3 per second spike is present in the EEG. This is generally asked in the MCQ also. They give the short history and then the clue in the form of EEG finding. So you have to remember this characteristic finding in EEG in absence seizure. Myoclonic seizure is the another subtype of the generalized seizure. In this, the patient will have the shock-like contraction of a muscle of less than 50 milliseconds, or it can be, you can say, quick muscle jerks or brief symmetrical muscle contraction. In this picture, you can see the child is having the sudden spasm of the body, and in this condition patient will have the loss of body tone also. It is repeatedly occur, and consciousness usually remain unimpaired, and usually it is seen in the specific epilepsy syndromes. Now the another subtype is the atonic seizure. In this, the suddenly dropping to the floor due to the flaccidity or due to the loss of the tone occur. In this picture, you can see the child is having the atonic seizure, suddenly fall to the floor, and patient remain conscious. So it occur without loss of consciousness. So all seizures of the children commonly includes neonatal seizures, febrile seizure, epilepsy, age-dependent epileptic syndrome, and status epilepticus. I have already uploaded the details of neonatal seizures on this YouTube channel. Today I am going to discuss the febrile seizure, and other part will be discussed in the next lecture. So, what are the incidents of febrile seizure? This is the most common type of seizure in children. This is usually benign, and incidents are around 3 to 5%. Whenever you find the patient is having the seizure disorder, in 50% cases between the age of 6 months to 60 months, you will find that patient is having the febrile seizure. So 50% of seizure disorders are in children are due to febrile seizure. Now, What is the definition of febrile seizure? Seizures between 6 to 16 months age group. Peak age group for febrile seizure is 12 to 18 months. So this is age dependent seizure. In less than 6 months and more than 60 months, we cannot label the febrile seizure. And it is always associated with the fever, temperature of 38 degrees centigrade or 100.4 degree Fahrenheit or higher than this will be there. But before labeling the febrile seizure, you have to rule out the intracranial infection, or if the patient is having any defined cause. Example, if the patient is having the already some CNS diseases or having this hypoglycemia, electrolyte disturbance, and due to that patient is having the seizure, then we cannot label the febrile seizure. So if the patient is not having any defined cause, not having the intracranial infection, then only we can label the febrile seizure. Now, what are the risk factors for recurrence of febrile seizure? Risk of recurrence is around 30 to 50%, and most recurrence occur within 6 to 12 months of the first seizure. And what are the major risk factors for the recurrence? If the age of the patient is less than 1 year at the onset, duration of fever is less than 24 hours, and fever is hardly 38 to 39 degrees centigrade when the seizure occur. So all these are the major risk factor when the patient is having the first episode of the febrile seizure. Age is less than 1 year, duration of fever is less than 1 day, and fever is of mild grade. Then the recurrence will be more. And what are the minor risk factor? If febrile seizure is also there in first degree relative, there is a family history of epilepsy, and if the patient is having complex febrile seizure, and male gender is also the minor risk factor for the recurrence of the febrile seizure, and at the time of seizure, if the patient is having lower serum sodium or we can say hyponatremia is there, then this is also considered as a minor risk factor. Now the types of febrile seizure. One is simple or typical febrile seizure. Another is complex or atypical febrile seizure. Simple febrile seizure, always GTCS type. Duration of the seizure is few seconds to less than 15 minutes, and it is once in 24 hours. And the prognosis is excellent in simple febrile seizure. Now in complex febrile seizure, patient will have the focal seizure or seizure persists more than 15 minutes and more than once in 24 hours. So patient is having more than one seizure episode. Now how will you investigate in febrile seizure? In blood investigation, not routinely required in simple febrile seizure. Uh, Blood glucose should be done in each and every case, and we can send the routine investigation complete blood count to rule out the infections, serum electrolytes to see the level of sodium, calcium, magnesium. Specific investigation we can send to determine the cause of fever. Example, if you are suspecting the malaria or entry fever or anything else, you can send the specific blood investigation accordingly. What is the role of lumbar puncture in febrile seizure? This is generally asked in the Viva. So the decision to perform the lumbar puncture should be based on the age of the child at the presentation. If the age is less than 12 months, then lumbar puncture should be done. And if the patient had the first episode of the febrile seizure, then definitely you have to perform the lumbar puncture to rule out the pyomeningitis. If age is between 12 to 18 months, we should consider if the red flag signs are there. I will tell you the red flag signs in next slide. If the age is more than 18 months, then if the history, physical examination, anything is suggestive of intracranial infection, then only we have to perform the lumbar puncture. In less than 18 months age group, signs of meningeal irritation, sign of pyomeningitis are unreliable. That's why in less than 18 months age group, we have to be very cautious before labeling the febrile seizure. Always we have to rule out by the performing the lumbar puncture. So what are the red flag signs? If the patient is having the focal seizure and suspicious physical examination finding, example rashes, petechiae, cyanosis, hypotension, all these are their abnormal neurological examination, then between the age group of 12 to 18 months also, we have to perform the lumbar puncture. Another investigation, EEG. This is also not routinely required in the febrile seizure. It should be done if the fever triggered epilepsy or risk factor for the epilepsy are present. Then only you have to perform, otherwise not. If EEG is indicated, it should be done after more than 2 weeks have passed after the febrile seizure. Now the role of neuroimaging in febrile seizure, this is also not routinely required in the febrile seizure. It should be done if the patient is having the focal seizure to rule out the space occupying lesions. It also indicated if the febrile status epilepticus is present, if the seizure persists more than 30 minutes, and if the patient is having recurrent seizure, then only, or we can say atypical febrile seizures are there, then you have to go for the neuroimages. Now, what is the treatment of febrile seizure? In this, supportive treatment and specific treatment. In supportive treatment, you have to determine and treat the cause of fever. Start the antipyretic paracetamol, 15 mg per kg per dose, 6 hourly, and tepid sponging will be done. In a specific treatment for the seizure control, we can give the IV midas 0.02 to 0.03 milligram per kilogram slowly over 2 minutes, or we can give the rectal diazepam 0.3 to 0.5 milligram per kilogram diluted in 5 ml normal saline, or we can give the buccal or intranasal midas 0.25 milligram per kilogram. Now, seizure prophylaxis in febrile seizure. In this, intermittent prophylaxis and continuous prophylaxis. In intermittent prophylaxis, we can give the drugs for 3 days at the onset of fever. In this, either we can give the diazepam 0.2 to 0.5 milligram per kilogram orally or rectally thrice daily only for 3 days, and clobazam 0.75 to 1 milligram per kilogram per day in BD doses orally, or clonazepam 0.01 milligram per kilogram BD or TDS orally, maximum 1.5 milligram per day. Intermittent prophylaxis is indicated if you find that there are risk factor for the recurrence is present and patient is having the various risk factors for the recurrence of febrile seizure. Continuous prophylaxis is indicated if frequent complex febrile seizures are there, if failed intermittent therapy is there, and if febrile seizures are present with the neurological deficit, then only we give the continuous prophylaxis. In this, phenobarbital 3 to 5 milligram per kilogram per day OD or BD doses, or sodium valproate 20 milligram per kilogram per day BD doses will be given. In febrile seizure, iron deficiency is associated with an increased risk of febrile seizure. So we have to screen for the iron deficiency whenever a patient is having the febrile seizure, and we should treat properly because the iron deficiency will be the precipitating factor for the febrile seizure. Now the incidence of epilepsy after febrile seizure. Generally MCQ is asked on this slide. So risk will be around 1% if the patient is having simple febrile seizure and no other risk factor is there. Single simple febrile seizure. And risk will increase up to 4% if the patient is having recurrent simple febrile seizure. Risk is around 6% of the later epilepsy if the patient is having complex febrile seizure. And in this category, patient is having the more than 15-minute duration seizure or recurrent seizures within 24 hours, or more than 2 episodes of the seizure in 24 hours. Risk is around 11% if the patient is having febrile seizure within 1 hour of fever onset. 18% risk for the epilepsy if the family history of epilepsy is present. 29% if focal complex febrile seizure is there. 33% if the pre-existing neurological abnormality is there. So all these are the incidents of epilepsy after the febrile seizure. Or roughly you can remember that risk is around 1 to 4% in simple febrile seizure and risk is more than 6% in complex febrile seizure. Thank you for listening, and if you have any query then you can put into the comment box.